Hello, alumni. This is Dick Amos, class of '52. I was in headquarters and headquarters company. You could have found me back there in the percussion section of the band, somewhere between bass drum and glockenspiel. I'd like to share a piece of the past with you, and even if you didn't happen to be at this particular banquet, I'm sure there was at least one during your time at Wentworth. So sit back, relax, and let your memory overtake you like one of those guide-on chicken dinners out at the country club of so many years ago. Listen again to some of the voices of the men who helped shape our lives, in particular, the very special Major Brown.
Not be here. I just like to eat and listen, and I haven't anything prepared for which you can be very happy. I want to extend the congratulations for the administration on your winning a disciplinary banquet. I'm sure that we have all just enjoyed a very fine feed, and the headquarters company, I'm extra thankful. Like Major Brown, I've been out here on a good many occasions. I've been out here with headquarters company, but it was for Scholastic, not for winning the disciplinary honors. So I am too. I'm glad to see that you can go both ways. You have won the Scholastic honors on several occasions, I remember. I suppose there isn't any reason why you shouldn't win this honor. As close a tab as Major Brown keeps on you, with the work he does with you on your precision drill and so forth, I think you get a little bit more going over than any other company, and no reason why you should not win this. So maybe you better bear down with him, come through. He's giving you the time, so you ought to produce more winners for his department. When you take just an outward glance at winning the disciplinary honors, or winning the Scholastic honors, or other honors as a total group, it doesn't sound like it's worth too much. We don't think quite often, we do not think very much about what is involved there, but it is nice to be on a winner. And that's what it means when you can go through a semester and win this honor. It means that a good many of you have had good records without any question to be on top. Always in an organization this size, and you have more size this year than usual, there will be a few that drag their feet. Evidently you've had a few less that have been dragging their feet during the past semester. And for that I congratulate you, Ephraim, for that. Perhaps your little prodding has helped, and that's one of the reasons you're out here. I don't think I have anything else in the way of great wisdom to offer to you, because you receive that day after day after day, I realize. There is one story that I think of that I will tell you, and then take my seat. I will apologize to Captain Berninger. I think he has heard this story. I doubt that any other in here from me have heard this. This happened during the days of the late war, when convoys were being sent to all regions, and with convoys, it was the practice of the USO to send special entertainment. So on this particular occasion, they had a good deal of trouble finding entertainment. They were sending out so many convoys that they picked up a magician that had been out of practice, but he offered to go with the hope that he would have a chance to practice for a couple of 3 days before he had to put on his show for the group in the convoy as he would go from ship to ship. After boarding the vessel, he approached the captain with the request that I would like to have a place where I can be quiet, where I can have quiet, where I can practice on my tricks, because I'm certainly not in shape to put on a decent show without the practice. The captain thought, he says, we're real crowded. I don't know where it could be. And finally says, well, you can have my cabin. He says, I'm on the bridge most of the time. There isn't anyone there but a parrot. The parrot cusses a good deal, makes a good deal of noise, but if you can put up with that, you're welcome to my cabin. Well, there wasn't anything else to do, so the physician took the cabin for his practice periods. Well, he went in and surprising to the magician, the parrot didn't say a word. No cuss words, no noise, but the parrot watched him intently as he would practice these tricks. One hand, other hand, he'd watch those tricks thoroughly all the time. Never said a word. Came the night of the entertainment, first time that the magician was putting on the show. And of course the parrot was there as the captain's special privilege and watching the show. And the magician came on and he was maneuvering over here with the left hand, of course, as they do, and he was doing the real work over here with the right, and the parrot says, "Watch the right hand, watch the right hand." Well, spoiled the trick. The magician went ahead. He was pulling another trick. This time he was centering attention on the right hand while he was pulling the stuff over here to the left, and the parrot says, "Watch the left hand, watch the left hand." Spoiled the trick again. About that time, a torpedo hit the ship, and the ship was gone. The next day, with the sun, here's the parrot, the magician, and the captain on a raft. They go along during the day, and the parrot doesn't say a word, watches this magician intently, just watches, watches, watches. Captain says, "I can't understand this." He always cusses, he always makes a lot of noise, and here he hasn't said a word. He just watches your every move. Toward sundown, the captain says, "I believe the parrot is going to say something." With that, the parrot says, all right, where in the hell is the ship?"
I'd like to call upon one whose business is discipline as well as did many other things, Colonel Wells.
Gentlemen, you know, while I was eating that awfully good chicken dinner, and I think it was an excellent banquet tonight, I couldn't help but think of the sort of little miscarriage of justice here. And the military department probably hasn't helped you people a bit to win this banquet. They've stuck you every justifiable chance they could get. When they inspect your rooms, they stick you for any little thing they can find wrong. Yet you sweat and work and cooperate and sweat and work and cooperate again all semester, and you win a banquet, as well as the honor that goes with it for discipline. And here I come out here and help you lap up the loot. And I haven't done a thing to it. If I wasn't here, hadn't been out here eating this banquet with you, I'd have been home eating lamb stir-around tonight. But even my wife gets a break out of this because she gets 2 full portions of lamb stir-around, where if I were home, she'd only get a half of 1 portion. Now, on your accomplishment, there's something that goes along with that I think is worth saying a few words about. I've commanded a number of battalions. I've been in a number of battalions. And it's always been, for some reason or other, and a good reason, which I'll probably don't need to explain to you. In your battalion, if you remember your organization, your infantry battalion, you have 3 rifle companies and a heavy weapons company. It's always invariably been the heavy weapons company that had the most spirit and the most pride. Well, the rifle companies often had plenty of it, often competed with each other, often vied for honors, vied for being the best, but very seldom in any battalion of any number I've served in or commanded has the heavy weapons company been beat. On long, hard practice marches where the heavy weapons company was carrying the heavy weapons, the mortars, the machine guns, there wouldn't be a man fall out of the heavy weapons company, where in each rifle company you might have 3 or 4 men fall out on the long practice marches. On some of the more difficult maneuver assignments, the heavy weapons company almost invariably would come through with flying colors. Now there's a reason for that. And I might say the same thing did apply in combat too. They had a sort of a pride, but the pride was born of being different. They were cats of a different breed from the rifle companies. and you in this battalion are of a different breed from the rifle companies. In a lot of your work, you're the band, of course. In a lot of your military training, you're the heavy weapons company. You don't have rifles, and you get your training with the heavy weapons, even though it does have to be somewhat limited. Now that, I believe, is the factor which enters in to make headquarters company have possibilities of reaching the top in almost any way they want to bend their backs and put an effort, because you've got a feeling of teamwork there. You know you're different from the rest of the Corps. You've got a harder mission to fulfill than the rest of the Corps, and therefore you can do it better even though it's harder. Now, that's probably what's behind it, even though a lot of you don't realize it. I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of you did realize that was the case. You realize that your band work provides a great morale factor for the Corps. What the heck would our parades be without a band? We'd probably get out and do them anyway, but what would they be like? What would the dances be without the Cavaliers? Well, they probably wouldn't dance. I don't know what they'd do. They had girls like that. And now that the windows are beginning to open up, with the warm weather coming on, this little military touch of your bugle calls, which is another soiree. That's a West Point expression meaning another annoying task to fulfill. But nevertheless, it's going to have give a sense of the old military glamour. And you hear those bugle calls at different times during the day. You have to do the dirty work, though. You have to put it forth. Well, that sort of wells you together into a fighting, prideful group. It gives you a certain advantage because you are different. And make use of that advantage. You have in your discipline. You've cooperated, and you've done a lot of it under a certain amount of prodding and effort by your senior officers and non-coms, but you've done it, and you've done it well, exceedingly well. I'd be very proud of this company to see it walk off with all top honors. I won't say that I favor you any more than any other company. I think a lot of D Company, because they're such a bunch of little rascals on the whole, and they've got a disadvantage to overcome because of their smallness and immaturity in a lot of ways. I think a lot of A Company, because they're really the mature bunch of the Corps. They're all the older boys. I think a lot of each company for certain reasons. I have no favorite at all, but I see possibilities in this band or this headquarters company this year because you're larger and you seem to be more well-knit and working together than any of the other 2 years have been here. Now, this isn't just banquet talk, something I would have been ready to say to you anytime. I would like, just to show you what I mean, I don't know how many of you got to see the little television recording of our Kansas City show. You probably noticed on that even though they had the honor guard on the screen, they were talking about the band. This is the only marching band that can do the close order drill and play at the same time and so forth and so on. Here the honor guard was marching on that. I wouldn't be surprised if Efremov had a hand in that. You couldn't get on the television visibly, you got on there audibly. You must have impressed somebody mighty good. You did a grand job at that show from start to finish. And you've done a grand job all along. Now, if you stop doing a grand job, brother, you just watch me get mad. I will, because I think a lot of you right now, just about each and every one of you in this company. So go to it, I'm all for you, but you're going to have to keep producing to keep me that way.
Now I'd like to call upon your company commander, who I'm sure has had a good deal to do with the record you've made. Of course, you're all deserving credit, but I think the leadership, the constant pressure and encouragement likewise on the part of your company commander had a tremendous amount to do with the position you have. Captain Effermore.
Very proud to have you in the outfit. You did a very good job, and I hope that we can continue this way next semester. We've done a small part of our job, but as I say, we've got a bigger job ahead of us. And by God, I know we can do it. We've got the men in here. Let's keep it up. Thank you.
I'm not going to say that I hope that you're out here next spring, but I hope that you set such a doggone fast pace in this discipline, and the other things too, that nobody can overtake you. You probably know that you have an excellent chance to be the best company for the year. That doesn't say that you are going to be, but you're in a pretty favorable spot. If you keep up the good work and make some improvement in certain fields, it's going to be mighty hard for A, B, C, or D to beat you out in the spring for the best company. Naturally, I think that discipline is the most important thing in life. During the World War, the last World War, I don't know how many, but there were thousands and thousands of the Phi Beta Kappas who were out of jobs. To me, the most important thing, and I'm not saying anything in a slighting way about high grades, about scholastic accomplishments by any means, but there has to be, along with knowing all the answers, there has to be a certain amount of discipline, a certain amount of ability to adjust oneself and to get along with the other fellow, see the other fellow's angle. There must be that, otherwise you're just a screwball. You may be, we had one here a few years ago. He was supposed to be a whiz. He was a doctor in English. Well, as those who were here, I made the remark once, well, he was here for a year. As far as I know, he never did a damn thing right, and I don't think he did. And yet he had a doctor's degree in English. But he didn't know enough to come in out of the rain. As far as common everyday sense is concerned, the practical side of it, he didn't have the faintest idea in the world what the score was any time. Well, you can imagine what a problem he was for me. There wasn't a cadet in school that was half the problem he was. It simply meant that every night he was on duty, I was on duty down in C Company, every blessed night, because I wanted a portion of the barracks to be there the next morning. If you can single out any one thing as being of top-notch importance, I believe it's discipline. Not the discipline which we ordinarily think of, but the matter of learning, acquiring the right kind of habits. You're on time not because somebody's going to bust you in the head. You don't wear your uniform with pride and distinction because somebody in the military department or disciplinary department is going to give you a hallelujah for it. No. You do all those things because you're convinced deep down in your soul that they pay dividends. You know, it's the most amazing thing. The average cadet here thinks, well, just the minute I leave Wentworth, oh, brother, life will be a bowl of cherries. I won't have to do a darn thing that I don't want to. There'll never be a particle of regimentation or routine after I once leave here. I'll never have to shave unless I want to. I can get whatever kind of haircut I want, or I can go without a haircut. Don't have to get any haircut. Don't have to shine my shoes. Doesn't make any difference whether the pants are clean, whether they're pressed or not. The overcoat, if I wear one, if it has 4 buttons on it, and they're supposed to have, and I have one, that's perfectly all right. Well, now, that's the craziest argument that I ever heard of in my life. It just isn't true. The very things that we're trying to teach you here today are the things that you're going to use 10, 15, 20 years from now, and if you learn them, and if you do them because they're right, man, you can't realize how much money you make. Now, we have to use pressure sometimes, of course we do. But we don't do that, except as a last resort. There are a good many of you here, not a good many of you, but there's several of you here, that I've spent a good deal of time talking to you. And you know that it's very seldom that I've mentioned pressure to anybody. I've tried to sell you on the idea that the right way is the right way, and do it the right way because it is the right way. Not because there's a heck of a penalty if you don't, but because you make friends, you're happy, and everybody else is happy if you do it the right way. That's another thing that mystifies me. It's true. You do a job acceptably, and everybody in Kingdom Come is delighted. You do it the poor way, and everybody's unhappy. Now, isn't it? That's true. It's true. If you do it well, everybody's happy. If you do it poorly, indifferently, or carelessly, nobody's happy. Everybody's uncomfortable about it. And yet, that's absolutely true. Well, that's what we're trying to do here. Not trying to put you in confinement and take away your privileges and make you stay in the barracks because you didn't turn in a theme. That isn't the idea at all. The idea is to try to get you to form as little as you can bad habits, and that's true also. That's true also. Years and years ago, I got into the habit of going to church. Of course, my dad had something to do with it. But if I didn't go to church, I'd be lost. Now, you may think that's a lot of hooey, but I'd be lost if I didn't go to church. I never miss church. I always go to church. There are a good many other things that I do. Habit. More or less habit. You can form good habits just as easily as bad habits. They require a little more concentration, I'll admit. They do. As I say so many times, any damn fool can get into trouble. It doesn't require any intelligence or any strength of character or anything else to get into trouble. But it does require a little bit to avoid trouble. To avoid trouble, accept the job that you're supposed to do, accept the responsibilities and the duties that go with it, take it like that. Not because somebody's standing behind you with a bayonet going to prod you in the tail with it. No, no. Do it because it pays dividends for you and for everybody else. Perhaps I should hold this program for tomorrow night when we have the intellectuals here, but I have prepared a little quiz show. As they say, I hope you like it. Maybe you won't. If you don't, well, that's perfectly all right. All right?
There were 2 Adams.
That's right. John Adams and John Quincy, all right? Who were the other 2? One of them was very active in about 1812, and the other one was 1848. Who were they? I'm wrong on that. I'm wrong. I'm right off it. That's right, Harrison. William Henry was the general in the Mexican War, and Benjamin was his grandson, the great-grandson. All right, now listen closely. I'm going to name 5 composers here. You ought to eat this up. Tell me what... Tell me which ones are wrong. Jerome Kern, Mozart, Gershwin, Bach, and Wagner. Wait a minute. Rife, tell me which ones are wrong.
I don't know.
Sats, which ones are wrong? That's right. Who's the other one? One other. Doesn't belong in that group. All right, Jerome Kern. The other three were, of course, composers of the old day. Kern and Gershwin, of course, are modern. I think you know that. You should know that. All right. Is this correct or incorrect? Romberg wrote Rosemarie. Is that right, Kessner? Sigmund Romberg wrote Rosemarie? Well, that's wrong. That's right. Who did write it? Shuttler? Not that it makes too much difference. Rudolph Frimmel doesn't make a difference, though. All right, did Victor Herbert write The Vagabond King? Marges?
Yes, sir.
No, he didn't.
Nice try.
Nice try. All right, Tadji, did Rudolph Frimmel write The Student Prince? No, he didn't. All right. When we speak of the March King, Reed, what man are we talking about?
Susan.
That's correct. The Waltz King, Rogers, what man are we talking about?
Wayne King.
All right, Wayne King. When we're talking about the sweetest music this side of heaven, what, Alan Bardo, all right. The Stein song we associate with what man, Hale? The Stein song.
I know, but wasn't that Harvard? I don't know. Francis Scott Key.
No.
All the German bear songs, right? Bears can go to Stein.
Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner. Anybody know who it is? Who? Rudy Valley, all right. Rudy Valley. All right, when we hear April showers, we always associate that with what man? All right. My Man was whose masterpiece? Webb died just about a year ago, less than a year ago. Who? My Man.
Helen Martin.
No. Fanny Bryce. All right, here's another one. I don't know whether you hear it much on the radio or not. We used to. It used to be his theme song. Your time is my time is your time. Rudy Valley, all right. Here's one that I'll probably have to call on these for. With whom do we associate this? It's nice to get up in the morning, but it's nicer to lie in bed. Who? That's true, but I wasn't referring to a Scotsman.
Oh, Harry Lauder.
Harry Lauder, all right. With whom do we associate this? Your DeSoto Plymouth dealer. Groucho Marx, all right. All right, now we're going into a little geography. All right. Preston, name the Great Lakes.
Superior,
All right.
Michigan,
All right.
Erie,
Erie, all right. Two more.
Ontario,
All right, one more.
Europe.
All right, Huron.
How about Veronica?
All right, now this one. Now think about this one. What state is touched by 4 of the lakes? What state is touched? Michigan. Michigan, all right. All right, if you're at Duluth, how do you get over to buffalo. Johnston.
You go by ferry or around the tropical?
The ferry. Wait a minute. All right.
Erie Canal?
Erie Canal.
You mean by water?
Yeah, by water, of course. By water, of course.
North the rowboat?
He means where do you go, through what?
Lake Superior?
No, well, you know.
That's his Lake Superior. Here's Duluth up here in Lake Superior, and you want to get over here on Lake Erie to Buffalo.
You drive across.
Drive what? Across, where do you go across?
I don't think you can get there.
Sault Ste. Marie.
All right, through the locks at the Sault Ste. Marie.
Straits of Mackinac.
Which lake is the higher? I'm going to ask that question. Which lake is the higher, Superior or Huron? Is the drop this way or the drop this way? Superior's higher? That's correct. Superior is much higher. The St. Mary's River goes through there. It's a narrow river and it's full of rocks. And it's impossible to navigate the thing, and that's why those locks were built there, to make it possible to take the iron ore from Wisconsin, Minnesota, and northern Michigan over to Detroit, Cleveland, and so forth. Not Kalamazoo, no. They're from off in business, ought to be able to answer all these questions. All right, which of the Great Lakes is the largest? Webb? No. Superior, all right. Where are the Finger Lakes, Oak Grove? The Finger Lakes. Where are the Finger Lakes? They're in somewhat this shape, and that's why they're called the Finger Lakes. They lie fairly close together. All right? No, sir. New York is right. Central New York. All right? Now, here's another one that's going to keep you guessing, keep you working. I have here 5 names, the same name. I'm going to give you somewhat of a clue and see if you can tell me who they are. In the first one of the first group, he was very, very active in 1898. The other one is still very active. Remember in 1898 we had a war with Spain. No. Who? Dewey is right. Admiral George Dewey and, of course, Thomas Dewey, the present governor of New York. All right? Now we have another one, along somewhat similar lines. This man was very active, 1896 down to 1924, we'll say. The other fellow by the same name is very, very active today. I mean very, very active. Who? Taft is right. William Howard Taft, President, Supreme Court Justice, and of course his son Robert, who is trying to steamroll. I don't agree with you, but I'm not going to argue with you. All right? This man was, the first one in this group, was very active in 1812. 1812. The other one in 1861 to 63.
John.
Who?
John.
No.
Jack.
All right, Andrew Jackson and Stonewall Jackson. All right, here are 2 others. One of them, probably the #1 citizen of the world during the last 6-7 years. The other one is a very prominent man living in the East. Originally came from the West.
East what, sir?
Well, east of the Rockies. Who?
Oh, in the United States.
No, they're both Americans. Who? Right. Eisenhower is general, and his brother is what university? Penn State. Penn State, that's right.
Kansas State.
Yeah. All right. Now this one, you ought to be able to get this one, you lads who live in the Middle West. This man was very active, about the year 1900, perhaps 6, 7 years on each side of that time. The other man was very active just a few years ago.
Could be Brian or Roosevelt.
Brian. Well, I've already given Roosevelt. All right, William Jennings Bryan and his brother Charles. All right? Now, famous sayings. Famous sayings. I do not choose to run. Who said that, Captain Bowden? All right. Who said this? Speak softly, but use a big stick. All right. Who said a house divided against itself? All right. We have met the enemy and they are ours. Who said that? Fleming? Huh?
Hurry on later.
Who was it? We have met the enemy and they are ours. It happened up here in the northeast. All right, Oliver Hazard Perry. All right, who said this? Who said this, and what do the words mean? Waney, weedy, weaky. All right, Julius Caesar. All right. Now I'm going into the high stuff. I picked these particular quotations because I had to memorize them when I was much younger, and I know exactly what they are and where they come from. I didn't shop around. I know these. All right. To be or not to be. Where's that come from? All right. The quality of mercy is not strained comes from where? Hurley? The quality of mercy is not strained.
Sir? Colonel Wells knows it.
Fortune a minute.
Right? Portia's speech to...
Name's Commandant.
All right, this one. I bet you don't know this one. I bet you don't know this one. Of all sad words of tongue and pen, the saddest of these it might have been.
Romeo and Juliet?
No. By John Greenleaf Whittier. Maud Muller. On a summer day, rake the meadow green with hay. I remember those. Well, all right, this one. To thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Question? Young man was going away to Paris to see the white lights and so forth, and his dad gave him some advice. All right. That's from Hamlet also. That's the speech that Polonius makes to his son Laertes when he decides to go to Paris and learn what life is all about. All right, this one. So live that when thy summons comes. No. All right. Thanatopsis. All right, now this one. If you're walking down Pennsylvania Avenue, then what city would you be, Gigan? Washington's right. Down Michigan Boulevard, Thorne. All right. Market Street, Keeter. All right. Euclid Avenue. No, not Euclid. San Francisco. Euclid Avenue.
There's a big one in St. Louis, but I'm sure you don't mean St. Louis.
It's the main drag.
Probably Harlem in New York, too.
No, that's Cleveland. All right, Woodard Avenue, business. All right. I thought you All right. Now, these schools, tell me where they are. Where's Purdue, Graham? Purdue. Lafayette, what state? All right. Vanderbilt, Bastrop.
Tennessee,
What city?
I don't know. Memphis?
Nashville, all right. Rice. Edge, where's Rice? Don't tell me it's in China now. Houston, yeah, all right. Houston, Texas. Stanford. That's Herbert Hoover School. And several others. No. Palo Alto is right. Brigham Young. Kessler. All right, Salt Lake City. All right, we speak of the Gators. What school are we speaking of?
University of Florida.
All right. The Badgers. All right. The Crimson is what school?
Harvard.
Harvard is right. The Huskies.
Minnesota.
All right, Washington. The Green Wave, Efremov. All right. What state is known as the Empire State? All right. The Bayou State. Stockton. No. Mississippi. All right. The Prairie State. Tom's, what state's the Prairie State?
Must be one of the Dakotas, I guess.
Illinois is the Prairie State.
I never heard of
Yeah, that's what we call it. All right, the Bay State, whole group. The Bay State. Bay State. Nope. All right, you American history sharks. What colony was called the Bay Colony? All right, that's it.
Somebody said Massachusetts.
All
Somebody
right.
said Massachusetts.
What state is known as Old Dominion? That is?
Virginia.
Right, Virginia. All right,
Iowa.
here are some famous Americans. I think they're all Americans. Yeah, they are. Eli Whitney. Right. I'm wrong. Here's one that isn't. Marconi. Wireless, all right. C.W. Field. Field, what did your great-great-grandfather do?
Cable and
All right. Lanny Cage. All right, Major Walter Reed. You don't get anywhere that way. All right. Yeah, he isolated the.
In Cuba, Panama.
Yeah, in the Panama Canal. That was Gorgas was the man who had charge of that down there. All right. The Wright brothers, Fleming. All right. A.G. Bell, Hurley. All right. Elias Howe. All right. C.K. McCormick, right? Robert Fulton. Colonel R.W. Gatels. Colonel R.W. Gatels. Or Girdles, however you want to pronounce it.
G-O-E-T-H-A-L?
Yeah.
That's why go.
All right, he built the Panama Canal. All right. Now, on what water is Duluth? I answered that question a minute ago. It's maybe a lake or a river or an ocean. Lake Superior, all right? Albany, New York. On the Hudson River, not the St. Lawrence. All right, Cairo, Illinois, Efremov. Mississippi, all right? Montreal, Larson. Way up there? Way up there? The St. Lawrence, all right? Buffalo, Keeter. What? I hear what you said.
He said the Potomac.
The Potomac, no. No? Lake Erie is right. Milwaukee, Marges.
Michigan,
All
sir.
right. Tampa, Florida. Tampa, Florida. Gulf of Mexico. All right. Cincinnati. Peters? The Ohio is right. Toronto, Canada.
St. Lawrence.
Lake Erie doesn't go up that far. That's right, Lake Ontario. All right, Portland, Oregon. Columbia River. All right, now I have some foreign expressions. I'd like to have you explain what they mean. All right, the first one is cherchez la femme. What does that mean? Kessner? Well, chercher means to seek or to find. Well, what does it mean? I know, but what does it mean?
It's a term in law practice.
Oh, no, it's not in law.
Doesn't that mean you've got to find a suspect or something?
Well, that's it. If a man gets into trouble, there's some woman behind it. That's it. All right. I don't know whether Colonel Wells had any experience with this or not. What do I mean by mal de mer, Toms? What? Anybody know what we mean by mal de mer? That's a rather common expression. Was it?
Something about a sea. Bad sea.
No, it's more than that. It's a bad sea, all right. It means seasickness. Seasickness, mal de mer. What do we mean when we say cafe solo?
I know. Solo means by yourself, and cafe is coffee. That's Greek.
All right. Then you mean black coffee.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's it, black coffee. All right, now, the Wentworth Shield says, Adieu et tu. What does that mean? All right, you could translate that a million different ways. Essentially, it says, in God is everything. Therefore, you can say, God is all-powerful, or God is all-important, or God is everything that you need. All right? I believe that covers it. I believe that covers it. Unless somebody has something that he'd like to offer, I think we'll call it a day. Now, if you don't have permits, let's go back to the barracks. And since you are the disciplinary company, I know you'll get into the barracks without disturbing anybody. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you can get out here next spring, we'll be glad to see you.